So, hello Ranjit, am I audible? Because I have used a different microphone today. So, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, Shubham.
Okay, thank you. So, we will wait for 2 more minutes and then we'll start.
Okay.
So, all right, we will start now. So, actually, I am thinking to do today is to solve problems from the practice set of the course Introduction to Python Programming by Harvard University. But before that, in our last class, I uh, left the part of file handling. So I'll complete that part, file handling, and then we'll move on to the practice sets. All right. So the practice problems which I have taken today are starting from very basic, and then it will move forward to dictionaries and exceptions and all. And then up till that, I have planned today. And then later on, I guess if I get time, I'll take those problems, or otherwise I'll give those problems as assignments. All right, so let us move on to um, first file handling, and then we'll move on to um, practice problems. All right. So this is where we were in our last class. We were talking about so in our last class we were talking about modules, and then we saw some recursions, and after that we left this section. So we'll go through this section. So when it comes to file input output or file handling, you see this Python programming can only talk with the OS, and whatever the files are there in your hard disks or whichever being stored in your for long-term memory, those are handled by operating system. And one more thing, I'm not very well versed with file handling, so I may not be going into a lot of depth of file handling, but in case you are in this area and you want to work in this area, so you can go and look into it also. All right. So first we will see what we can do with files. So whenever you write a program and you run that program, those programs are stored in the volatile memory called RAM. And whenever you want to store that program, you have to interact with the operating system, and then the operating system stores the program in the hard disks or long-term memory. All right. So some of the files operations which you can do is opening a file, reading, writing a file, closing a file, deleting a file, etc. All right. Now we will see how we open a file in Python. So there is a very simple function called open, and you have to have a file in your directory. So let me go to the directory. So if you go here, so this is the current directory which I am in, because this script or Python file hands-on programming lecture 11. It is there. It is here. You see, it is here. So in this directory, I have kept a file called example.txt. In case you don't have a file and you want to keep a file there, you can go to the directory. So you can open the directory wherever you are and you can just make a new. So you can, so in Windows, it is very simple. You can just add one text file, add new a text file, and you can add the text file here. And if you want to write something inside the text file, you can do so. So I have a file called example.txt and we're opening this file. If you don't have that file, then you will get an error. All right. So I'll write open. I guess someone is unmute. Ma'am, do you want to say ask something or say something?
No, sir, no, sir.
All right. So you have to write the file name. So and you have to be exact. So it is example example.txt. And you have to store this in a file handler. So I'll name that as f equals to open example.txt. And when you do so, then this file is open in the memory and the pointer to that open file is f. All right. So this is how you open a file in Python. Now there are various modes in which you can open a file. Uh, those are, so let me just zoom in a little bit. Yeah. So those are read mode. So R for read mode. When you specify R, it is in read mode. And if you don't specify anything, in this case, in the above case, when I wrote open example.txt, then it was in default by opened as read mode. All right. Now there is something called write mode W. So what it will do is it will check if the file is there in the memory or not. If it is not there, then it will create a new file. If it is there, then it will delete that file and open a new file with the name which you are suggesting. So actually write W truncates the original file if the file is there in the memory and writes afresh. All right. Now X is exclusive creation. So in case if the file already exists, the operation will fail. And if the file is not there in the memory, then it will create a file. All right. Now, when you open a file using A, which is appending mode, so whatever there is there in the file, it will add to that file. So suppose a file has some text A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you want to add more text to that file or add more elements to that file, you can do so by opening it in append mode, or you have to specify A. All right. And before these two, you can also add a plus symbol. So when you do plus symbol, it is actually reading and writing. So you see, when you are writing to a file, whatever the file is there in the memory, it will delete that file and start afresh. So when you do plus, then it will actually open a file and you can read through the file. Moreover, you can write in the file. All right. Now, what is text mode and binary mode? So whenever you write some text in the file, it is the default mode. So these are text. So these are some text. And if you write some text in a file, it will be in default mode. Binary mode are actually used specifically when you are doing some scientific operations and you want to store those things. You can store it in a binary code or machine code. It will be stored in that language. And if you open a binary file, you'll not be able to understand what's there in the file. It will have some binary code in that file. All right. So let us see how we can open files using these modes. So I have already opened a file example.txt. Before I come to closing a file, let me overwrite that file handler f using f is equals to open example.txt, and you can specify the mode which you are opening you will open the file with. So you can specify R, W, X. So I'll say R. So when I say R, it is in read mode. All right. And when you execute this, the file will be open in the memory with read mode. All right. And we will see what is the elements that are there in the file in this file a little later. But for the time being, just think that this file is open in the memory. All right. You can also open this file in write mode, but I don't want to do so because it will overwrite the file. So I'll open another file called open and I'll say test.txt. and I'll open it using write mode. So what write mode does it? It will check if it is there in the memory or not. If not, then it will create a file. So test, I guess, is there in the memory. Let me see. Yeah, test is there. So whatever is in this test, it will erase and it will open a file which is test.txt and nothing will be there in the file. All right. So let me run this command. Sorry. So I have opened another file called tst.txt and the file handler is now pointing to this new file. So the old file is lost. All right. Now we will talk about closing a file. More, one thing I have written over here is encoding. So you see this files are stored in the memory by operating system, and operating system encodes a file using different formats. So Linux store in different format and Windows store in different format, Mac store in different format. So I'm in Mac file, sorry, Mac operating system. So when you run this F, you will see what format it is. So Mac encodes the file in UTF-8. You have other formats also. So Unicode is one format, ASCII is one format, and so on. All right. And you can see what file is open. Test.txt is open and it is in write mode. All right. Now this file is open in the memory, and if you don't close this file, then there may be some lost data. For example, in earlier case, I opened example.txt, but in the next line, I opened test.txt. So that example.txt, whatever changes we have done, we might have done will be lost in the memory and you will not be able to retrieve that. So it is a very good, or it is always advisable to close a file before you want to close the program or do something else. And how do you close a file? You have to write f dot close. All right. So f will be closed. So you can check f. All right. So it is saying, but the file is closed. So the pointer is there, but the file is closed. Now you can open another file. So we had this example.txt. You can say open, and you can also open a file using. Uh, so you have to say R, and then you have to give the path, file path. So when you give the file path, then it will read the file. So let me give the file path. So if this is the file path, example.txt, and you can go and say copy as path. Not here. So over here it will be copy example.txt as path. So in Windows also you can do that. If you check, you can do that. I will copy and I'll just write it over here. So this is the path where example.txt is user Shubham Keshri documents, this folder, and then this. When you do that, then it will open the file in read mode. Why? Because I have specified R and this inverted commas will be here. All right, now we can open the file. So that file is open. So this is also a way to open that file. Now you can close the file. So f dot close. Right. Now in last class, we have talked about try and finally block. So try, except, else, finally. So you can also use try and finally block whenever you are doing file handling. Why is it important? You see, suppose you encountered some exception and the close command did not execute. In such cases, if you have written finally block and inside the finally block you have written a close command, then whatever the exception you have encountered, file will definitely close. So for example, you are saying try, and you are saying open something. So let me just open this file only. F is equals to open example dot txt, and we are doing something. So some code here. You can do anything, and you have except block. So I'm not writing except block. There may be except block also, and later on you have finally block, and you will say f dot close. Now when you do so, you see, if you have encountered here exception, then and you have not written finally, then in that case your file will not be closed and it will be lost in the memory. In order to avoid that, you can write try and finally, and with that you will always ensure that your file is not lost in memory and it's stored in your hard drive. All right. So when you do this, then your file will get closed. Now there is one more statement called with statement. We have not talked about this statement, but when you use with statement, then it automatically opens the file. No, it doesn't opens the file, but it closes the file for you. So you can open a file using with statement. How do you can do that? You can say with open and specify the file name example dot txt, and you have to say as something. So as f. So you're opening that this example.txt as f, and you can do something over here. It doesn't matter what you do. You can do something. So I'm just saying, and this will open the file. Whatever you are doing, you're reading the file, writing the file, whatever you are doing. So some code over here, and it will close the file. So you don't have to write the code f.close. But one catch is there. Whatever is inside this with block, that only will be done in this file example.txt, and it will close. So you cannot take this f after with statement. So you have to write your code inside the with statement. All right. After the with statement is executed, the file will be closed. So you have to do whatever you want to do over here itself. All right. Okay. So what did I do wrong? I had to specify something. So let me say if mm, f dot. So I have not talked about writing. So f dot write say. So this will read mode. No? So I'll say f dot read. So we have not talked about read, but I'm just doing it. We will see what does it do. All right. We will see what does f dot read do in later code. But this was an error because we had not written anything inside the with block. That is why we were getting an error. And since we are here, I will give you one more command called pass. When you write pass in Python, then it means that you are leaving that space blank and you will fill it in the future. So a pass statement in Python just means that you will write something, some code there, but you don't want to write it now. Then you can use pass. All right. So in functions also you can do that. Suppose you are defining some function called isEven, and you want to come back over here and write the function. You don't want to write the function just yet. You can say pass and then write another function called something you can do, and you can execute this without getting an error. I'll show you. All right. So function main, and you are just saying return a print hello, and okay, so this will be in inverted commas, and you are calling the isEven function here, isEven, and then you are returning nothing. You are doing like this, and you are just calling main over here. So you see what did I do? I gave I actually defined two functions called one called isEven and the other called main. But inside isEven I have not written anything. It is just blank, and I will come back later on. I just want to see my other parts of the code are working or not. So I have another function called main, and I have given print hello, and I have also a function called isEven. All right, and then I have of the function called main. So you see inside isEven there is nothing, and you want to execute this code, it will get executed. All right. Now, in case you have not written this pass statement over here, then you will get an error. Why? It is saying you have to have some code inside this function, otherwise this code cannot run. All right. So pass statement is useful in that way. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Now we'll see how to write inside a file. So I'll say open.
Sir, we cannot open multiple files, sir.
Yes, you can do that with different file handlers. So I'm using the same file handler here. F, you can do that using other name, variable name.
Okay, sir.
Now we say test.txt, and because we want to write inside a file, we can do that using W. A or X mode. All right. So what W will do? You can go back and check what W will do. W will actually check if the file is there inside the directory or not. If it is not there, then it will create a file. If it is there, then it will truncate whatever inside the file and it will start afresh. You can also write using append. So append will open an existing file and then it will start writing at the last part of the code or not code in the file. And also if the file is not there in the memory, it creates a file if the file doesn't exist. You can also use X. What X does, if the file is there inside the memory, then the operation fails. If it is not there, then it will create a file and start writing. So you can do that. So now I'm using W, all right, to write inside a file. All right. Now to write inside a file, you will use a function called write. And you can write anything. I'm saying this is the first line. First line. And since you are writing inside a file, you have to specify the end line. So you are saying this is the end of the line. All right. Why this is important, you will see later on. When you are reading inside the file, this end line actually tells where the line ends and you can read line by line. So this end line has some significance when you are reading inside a file. All right. Now I'll write another line inside the file using the same function called write. And I say this is line number 2. This is line 2. Right. And again I'll say backslash n. Now I'll close this file f.close. Now you see one file is there in the memory which is called test.txt. If it was already there, it would have deleted because W, we have opened it using W and these two lines are there. This is the first line and this is line 2. If you go back and open this file, you see it is edited at today 6:22 p.m. So just now it was edited. And if you open this file, you can see, I guess it is the size is small, but if you see it is there. This is first line and this is line 2. All right. Now you can read, sorry, you can read also. So this we were reading through the directory. So we were going inside the directory and then we are reading, but you can read the file over here also. So let me show you how we'll read the file. So first I have to open the file because you have to read. For reading, you have to open the file in read format. So you can say open file name. So test.txt. And you can specify or not, it doesn't matter, but it is a good practice to specify that we are using opening it using read format. Now, when you say f.read, then you are reading entire file at once. So when you print this, so I'm not printing it. So if you print this, you will get the entire line at once. So this is what the file has. All right. And why I'm getting this full stop at the end, because I have given an error. So I have given backslash n then full stop. I should have written full stop then backslash n. Now if I do it again, then it will not be an error. You see, this is first line, this is second line. So this is what is there in the file. All right. Now I have not closed the file yet. All right. But you can do that. Now why I'm closing the file, because I want to show you other forms of read. So inside this read, we have not passed any argument. You can pass some arguments inside read and you can uh, read few parts of the line. So text that this file, sorry, you can read some part of this file. You see, your file can be very large and you want to read some part of that file. So you can do that using what I'll show you now. So I'm just writing it again, open test.txt, and I'm not writing read because I have told you that it is in read mode, but you should write. It is a good practice to write R. All right. Now, if you specify f.read and pass some argument, suppose I'm passing 4, then what it will do is actually some imaginary cursor is there in the first element, and it is saying that it will print first four elements, whatever there is in this file. So it will print T, H, I, S. Actually, it is not printing, it is reading. But since we are using Anaconda, so it is just showing us what is there in the last line. So f dot read is there in the last line. So we will get that as output. Sorry. So we'll get this as output. So this was read. Now, if you say read and suppose you say 10, so see, you are starting from where you left. So this read is actually moving a cursor. So first the cursor was moved at from 0th position to this S. All right. Now when you are saying read again, it starts with the next character. So it is saying space, then I, S space and so on till the next 10 character, next 10 character. All right. Now you can use a function called tell, which will let you know where the cursor is at. So the cursor is at 14th position. If you check from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can check, you will get that this I is at 14th position and the cursor is also is at the 14th position. You can move this cursor back using seek and you can move it in any position. I'm moving it at 0. So it will go at 0th position. So it's not 0th position. Actually, it is in the starting before T. All right. It goes before T. And now if you say f dot read and you don't pass anything, then it will read everything. All right. Now you may ask that if I say f dot read 10, I am saying f dot read 10. All right. Now it will give nothing. Why? Because you have already read the file. The cursor is at the last position and you are again reading it. So there is nothing to read. That's why we are getting a blank space here. To go back again, you have to say f dot seed and then only you can read the file again. Sorry, seek. Then only you can go back and now you can read the file again. So if you try to read the file again, f dot read 10, then you will start from that position. All right. Any question? All right. So you can use actually for loop to read lines in text file. So if you have a text file, then you can use for loop and that for loop will help you read one line at a time. So you can say for line in F and you can say print line. So what this will do is it will take one line at a time. Whenever the backslash n is encountered, the for will take that as first element of that file. All right. When you execute this command, you will see the first line is being executed and the second line is being, sorry, not executed, printed. Now you can ask me why there are two spaces. So one enter is here and one more enter is here. It is so because you see you're using print statement. Automatically print statement adds a backslash n in your output. So that backslash n and the line, this line also has a backslash n and that is why you're getting two enters and not one. All right. There is something called read lines. So you can also use this function called read line. So first you have to take the cursor back and then you can use f dot read line. And when you do this, then you will read the first line of that file. Whenever the backslash n is encountered till that point, it will read, it will print. So this is first line dot and backslash n. Again, if you say f dot read line, it will print the second line whenever the backslash n is encountered. Now, if you say f dot read line, then it will give you nothing because there is nothing inside that file. All right. Any doubt? There is one more function called, so let me move the cursor back. And there is one more function called f dot read lines, lines. One s is there. What this does is it actually creates a list and it puts the first line in the first element of the list, second line in the second element, and so on. So whenever it encounters \n, it takes that part and put it as an element of the list. So you see, it is a list. Why? Because box bracket is there. This is the first element and this is the second element. All right. So this is how you can read files inside Python. Any questions? All right. So you can also rename files in Python. How you can do that? You can do that using a function called rename. But as I told you earlier, Python cannot interact with your hard disk directly. So you have to interact. So Python has to interact using the operating system. So there is a module called OS. So you have to import a module called OS. And this module will help you interact with the operating system such that it make changes in your hard disk. All right. Now you have imported this module called OS and you can say os.rename. And I am renaming this text test.txt as say sample.txt, sample.txt. So before running this code, if you go back and see, I have this file test.txt in my directory. You can also see it here, by the way, this test.txt. Now, if I run this command, it will rename that file as sample.txt. You go back and see this file has been renamed as sample.txt. Over here also, you can see it has been renamed as sample.txt. All right. So this is how you rename files in uh, your memory. And you can check it is the same file by just opening the file again. Open and say sample.txt. And you can say f dot read lines. You will get the same output. All right. So this is how you can make sure that yes, it is the same file, only the file has been renamed. Now you can remove a file using the function called remove. And this function will remove the file. In this parenthesis, you have to give the name of the file. So you have to say sample.txt because I want to remove that file from the memory. So when I execute this command, that file is no longer there inside the hard disk. You can check over here also that file is not there inside your directory. If you go inside your, if you're using Windows, you can go inside your file explorer and you can check that that file has been deleted from the memory. All right. Now, if you want to, if you try to open that file again, if you're trying to open that file again, then you will get an error because that file is not there inside the memory. So you will get no such file or directory sample.txt, and this error is there, file not found error. Any doubt? So how many of you actually know about file input output? I guess some of you might be aware about this. Okay, madam. So if I make some error, please point out.
Sure.
All right. So we will talk about directories now. So we were talking about files. Now, so if you go back in your directory, you will check that you make folders. And inside folder, you can make subfolders and subfolders. And in those subfolders, you can keep your files. So directories actually are synonymous to folders. So you can make directory, you can actually check what is there inside your current directory and so on. So for this also you will need the module OS. So since we have imported OS, you don't need to import it again. We are in the same Python code, but if you are doing in a new Python code, you have to import OS again. Now to check the current directory you are in, you have to say os.getcwd, cwd, and then you will get the current working directory. So cwd full form is current working directory. So this is my current working directory. If you are in Windows or Linux, this will not be same. So in Windows, it actually starts with C colon, then backslash, then name and so on. Right. So it may look different in your uh, system. All right. So this is where we are. So this script is running over here. You can change the directory using the command os.chdr. So before that, you can actually list the files in this directory. You can do that using os.listdir, and you have to give the directory what address. So the path you have to give. So either you can give the path copying from here, or you can just give this command. It will get the directory where you are right now, and then it will list whatever files are there inside this directory. So you see inside this directory, what is the current directory? This is the current directory. User Shubham Keshri document, and this inside this I have these many files, right? And you see it is a list actually. It is a list with these elements. So you can know how lists are being used and this dictionaries and sets, etc. By seeing this, you will know how these data structures are used by other functions in Python. So this is actually an output where a list is being printed. All right. So it is not printed actually, but you're getting a list. Now you can change a directory using the command os.chdr, and inside this you have to give a path. So suppose I'll change the directory to user and Shubham Keshri. That's it. Till this I want to change. And over here I'll give a forward slash and I'll close. Right. Now when you do this, your current directory is being changed to this directory. So you have moved from that directory to this directory. What does it mean? It just means, so I was here, I'm just going back. So I'm going back. So now I am in documents. Now I am in Shubham Keshri. So I have come back over here using Python. All right. I just go back where I was. All right. So you can check os.getcwd, and you will see that you are actually in user/Shubham Keshri. All right. Now you can make a new directory. So suppose I was there and I want to make a new folder or a directory. So you can say os.mkdir. So it is short form for make directory, mkdir. And you can give a directory name. Suppose I'm saying test. So this is a new folder. Where will you create this folder? So you can see currently where we are. So you can say os.getcwd, and actually we are here, Shubham Keshri. So in this folder we will create another folder. What that folder is, it will be test. So if I run this, you see os.makedir test. So if you go back to Shubham Keshri, you will see this folder test is there, and it is created just now today 6:39 p.m. and if you go inside, nothing is there. So it is an empty directory which we have created just now. All right. Now so making new directory, I have told you. Now you can remove the directory. So how can you remove a directory? You see, you have just made a directory. So there is a command to remove a directory, which is os.rmdir. It is short form for remove directory. And you have to give the name of the directory which you want to remove. You can say test, because we want to remove that test. It was we created it and we want to delete that. So now we have deleted, and if you go back and you will see that that directory is no longer there inside the memory. Now there is one caution you have to maintain, that you can remove a directory using this rmdir command only when the directory is empty. So you see this test directory was empty because we had just created it and there was nothing inside the directory, and therefore we could delete it. But if you want to delete a directory which has some files and folders inside it, you cannot do that using rmdir. You have to use another um, function. So you can see, suppose we are saying os dot main directory mkdir, and we are saying that again we say test. All right, and now we have made a directory and we will mm, make a file inside the directory. So you see, we are doing the same thing what we do using the graphical interface. So in the graphical interface, what we will do, we will go inside this directory, we will right click, and then we will say make a new folder. So this folder will come inside this folder, we will make a new file. So that is what we are doing using Python. Right. So we have made a folder called test. Inside this folder, we will create a file called test file. So we will say open, and the name of this file will be test file. .txt. So we'll specify .txt and we'll say w. Why w? Because if that file is not there, it will create the file. And now we'll say f.write. So I'm writing inside that file something. Hello. Now I want to go back to the okay. So first I have to go inside this directory to create this file. So what I will do is we are actually where we can check os.getch, not ch, cwd. So we are actually over here, Shubham Keshri, but I want to go inside test. To go inside test, you can say os.change directory chdir, and there is one uh, uh, you can say thing which you can use to go inside a directories dot. So I don't know what it is called, and ma'am can help me. But we use dot to go inside a directory. So we say dot slash test, and yeah, so this will be inside uh, parenthesis, so not parenthesis, inverted commas. Now you have gone inside this directory, which is test, and which was there in the directory called Shubham Keshri. And if you want to check we are there inside test or not, then you can do that using this command, and you see inside Shubham Keshri, we are inside another directory which is called test. All right. Inside this directory, test, I want to create a file called testfile.txt, and I have written something inside that file. So some file is there and I have written something inside that file. Now I want to go back to Shubham Keshri and I want to delete this directory. So if I'm going it fast and if or you are not able to understand, please tell me. All right. I'll show you what we have done. If you go to Shubham Keshri and then go to test, I have created a file called testfile.txt. If you open it, inside that we had written hello. Why is it not there? Okay, because we have not closed it. You see what error we do? If we close this, then we'll get hello. All right. So this error you have to avoid if you don't close a file. Now this file is there. What we are doing is we have to go back and I want to delete this directory. Now we specified if we use rmdir for a directory which is not empty, you will get an error. That is what we are trying to see if it will give me an error or not. So we'll go back. So os.chdir, and inside this, if you give two dots, it means that go back to the just parent directory. So you are inside test directory. Double dot means you want to go back just the parent of this directory, which is Shubham Keshri. All right. So if you run this and check where we are, cwd, so you'll see actually we have come out. Now you want to delete that directory os.rmdir, and the directory name is test. If you do this, you will get an error. You see, directory not empty. So OS error is there and the error says the directory is not empty. You cannot delete it. But you can do so using another command. Sorry, called rmtree. But to use this rmtree, you have to import a module called shutil. So import shutil, and when you do this, You can say shutil dot rm tree test. Now, be cautious. If you remove some directory inside, you have some important files, then it will be lost forever. So do so with caution. All right. So since I know this test is there and I have just created it and some files are also there, but I don't need that file. So I'll execute this command. If you execute this command and some important files are there inside your hard disk, it will be deleted permanently and you'll not be able to recover it. All right. So this test directory has been removed from memory. If you go back now and see, this is where we were, Shubham, user Shubham. There is no test directory over here. All right. So we can remove a non-empty directory using rm tree. So why rm tree? It is remove tree. Why tree? The directories are actually stored in tree format. So the parent directory is there. The parents have children and each child has some directories. That's why it forms a tree. Tree form is there. That is why it is known as rm tree or a remove tree. And if you check where we are, so you can see os.getcwd. We are at Shubham Keshri. All right. So this is all about file handling. Any questions? So there are a lot of things apart from this what I have discussed, but this is what I was thinking to cover for this section. All right. These are very basic operations of file handling. Any questions? If not, then I'll post one link in the WhatsApp group just now, and we will solve the problems in that um, problem sets after a break. All right, so I'm just posting this link and we'll meet up after 5 minutes. So we'll meet at 6:53, and then we will move on to problem solving. Do you have any questions?
So can we do random access operation?
Random access?
Operations. Moving to any place and then we can write it. That we can use the C command also.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I am not very expert in this area of file handling, so I will not be able to comment on that. If you want, you
Okay, sir.
should read some other good sources.
Okay, sir. No issue. Just an answer.
All right, so I am posting this in the WhatsApp group. Just stop sharing my screen, and we'll meet at 6:53. In the meantime, you can open the link and see what is there. So this is just problem set 0. I am planning to go to problem set 1, 2, and 3. All right, problem set 0, problem set 1, problem set 2, and problem set 3. We will just meet after 5 minutes. Yes, so am I audible? So I would suggest if you have some time later on, you can go through these lectures. These are very good lectures by Professor David Mellon, and he's a very good faculty. Actually, the first lecture which I took in this course was actually inspired by this course, not this course, a CS50 Introduction to Programming, Computer Science, actually, Introduction to Computer Science. So that lectures was inspired by this lecture. And if you get time or if you want to learn by some expert, he's an expert. So you can go through this nine. Actually, it is a total of 24 hours. So this 24 hours, maybe less, 15 hours or so. In some time, you can go through these lectures. All right. So now how are we proceeding? So you see, initial few problems are very simple. So I'll show you, but initial few problems. So this five problems and this conditionals problems also are very simple. So it will be not very wise to go through all the problems, but yet since we are doing it, so we'll do it. All right. So I guess you have seen the problem. So we'll just go to the first problem. So this is the first problem of this whole lecture. So it must be very simple. And if you go and you check and you read, then you will see what are they wanting us to do. So I want you all to read. All right. If I read, then it will be difficult for you to follow. So what this wants is it just wants you to take an input from the user and output it using the output it in lowercase. So they have given a sample also. So they are taking this input and they are printing it in lowercase. You can test your code. So if you want to test, you type capital HELLO and you will get this. If you type this, you will get this. If you type 50, you will get 50. All right. So this is very simple. So let us do. So I'll just say uh, problem problem set 0. Right. Now for the first problem, indoor, we'll just take an input. So I'll say x is equals to input. You can give any name to the variable. So we want to take an input from the user. And you should remember then whenever we use this function input, it takes the input as an integer, not integer, sorry, as a string. So it always takes the input as a string. All right. So you can prompt the user if you want. So I'll just say enter line and then I'll give a colon and space for visually pleasing thing. And then I'll just, because this is a string, since this is a string, I'll use the function called lower. So I'll say lower. Now we have done. So this is what it wanted me to do. And then I'll just print it. So print X. This is it. All right. When you say HELLO, so I am saying H is capital, E is capital, LLO is small. So if you do this, then you will get small. You can test your code using the sample test. So if you do this, you should get this. If you do this, you should get this. And if you say 50, you should get this. All right, let us do with 50 one more time. So if I say 50, then I'm getting 50. So the test is, the tests are working. All right. So this is the first code. Very simple. So if I go to the second problem, so if you think my pace is higher, you can ask me to go slow. All right. So this is the second problem. And if you want to read, I'll just pause for 2 minutes. You can read along with me. All right. So I hope you have read it. It is saying that take a user's input and replace spaces with three dots. And it is showing you a demo. So if you and you can go down and you can see some tests. So if you say this is CS50, it will give this dot 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 is dot 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 CS50 and so on. All right. So it just replaces spaces and nothing else. So you can use a function called replace, which we have not talked about in our lecture, but I know it exists. That's why I'm using it. All right. So I'll just copy and I'll paste. What is the name of the problem? The name of the problem is playback speed. And say hash playback speed. So I'm taking an input, enter a line or enter a text, anything, doesn't matter. And there is a function called replace. Replace. And inside this function, it takes two arguments. What do you want to replace it with? So I want to replace space with three dots. I want to replace space with three dots and then I'll want to print it. So print X. This is what it wants. All right. I hope you had read it and you're following along with me. When we execute it, we can say this is ISIS course and we'll get this dot dot dots is dot 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 and so on. So this is also very simple. We'll move on to the third problem. Any questions? So I'll skip some problems because these are very simple questions. So this is also simple. So we'll go to tip calculator. Other problems are also simple. You can go back and see. All right. So for this tip calculator, you can read first. All right. So I want you to read. All right. So I hope you have read it. So what it is saying is, so they have created a calculator for us. They just want us to take user input and change it in some format such that this function main can understand. All right. So if you read it clearly, they are saying that we have made the calculator for you. You don't have to calculate or do anything. Just there are two functions which are not written properly. You have to complete it. What are those functions? You have to take the amount in this format, dollar, two digits, dot two digits, and then you have to remove this dollar sign and convert it into this format. So two digits dot two digits. You have to remove that dollar sign. And for percentage function, you have to remove that percentage sign and then divide it by 100. So it will be 15%. You have to make it 0.15. And everything other than that has been done. So it will calculate what is the tip and it will print it. All right. If you go to the demo, it is asking how much is the meal. So it is giving in this format. So they are expecting the input from the user in this format only. So the input will be in this format, dollar two digits dot two digits. Uh, Percentage will be in something percentage. So this format will not change. All you have to do is change this format to whatever the calculator wants us to do. So we'll just copy this. We'll just copy this and paste it over here. And what is the name? I guess tip is the name. So I just say tip. Sorry. All right. Now we have to do this. So first we will take an input from the user. Okay, input has already been taken. So this is the input from the user. How much was the meal? And that input as a string is passed to this function called $to float. So inside this function, we are getting a string. All we have to do is change that string to floating format. So we'll just say amount is equals to, first of all, we'll have to convert it to float. So we'll say float and we have this D. So we'll say D dot and we have to remove the first letter. All right. So you can do that in many ways. You can just say this from 1 to everything. All right, you can do this. There are other things also. So there is a function called remove prefix. We have not talked about this, but I'm telling you over here, but this will also work. This will also work. I can say amount is equals to float D dot. There is a function called remove prefix. So what it will do is it will go, prefix means whatever is there in at the starting point of that string. All right. So it will go and check if this is there in the prefix or not, and it will remove it. All right. So it will check if this $sign is there in the prefix or not, and it will remove it. But I'm not doing it because we know that $sign will be in the first position, which is in the 0th position, and we want to remove that and other things will remain. So I'm just doing it and I'm saying return amount. So this will work for $to float. Now we have to do this also, percentage to float. So what are we getting? We are getting from the user as 50% or 15% or 20%. So we can use that also. So we can say tip is equals to float. And we can do this only P and we will remove the last part. We'll say P and we'll say everything till -1. We don't want -1 and then we'll divide it by 100. Why did we divide it by 100? Because you see, it was 15%. So if you go here, it is saying that I'll input 15% and I want the output as 0.15. All right. So what this will do, since this is a string, we can do indexing and slicing. So I'm saying take everything, but don't take -1. Percentage sign is there in -1 and then divide it by 100. So this will work. First, I'll give $100.00. So this is the amount of my meal. Now it is saying what is the tip I want to give. I'll say 15%. Now it should give me leave $15. All right. Very simple, not very difficult. And since we are here, there is one more function called remove suffix. So if you say tip is equals to remove suffix SUFFIX and I'll say this. Okay, so this will also work. All right. In the time being, when you get some time and when you come back to this code, you can see if these two functions are working or not. And how these everything is working, you can see. You see, first of all, when we are executing, this main is created. This function is created and this function is created. Then there is a function called which is main. So we'll go to main. The execution will go to main. Now it will run this code. First, it will take an input from the user. Whatever that input is passed to $to float. So the control will come over here. Now this will be getting executed and we will return something and that return will be stored to $. Now the control will come over here. First, it will take an input from the user and whatever that input is passed to this function called %to float. So the control will come over here. Whatever we have done, it will do and then return this thing and that return will be taken to %. Now we have $, which is this value into %. That will be the tip and then this print will be executed. Now you may ask, what is this? You see, these are more formatting in strings, which we have not talked about, but since it is here, I'll tell you. You see, when we say .2, then it means that we have to output it as two decimals. And when F comes, it says that it is a floating point number. Yes, ma'am. Do you want to input something?
No, sir, no.
All right. So it is just saying whatever this value which comes out tip, you convert it to two decimal points. How are we saying it? It is saying that this dot says floating point. F says that it will be a floating point number and two decimal after this dot. All right. So this will give you two floating point numbers, and therefore it prints $15.00. All right. So we have completed problem set 0. Problem set 1 is also very simple, so I'll not do all the problems. Problem set 1. So let us see what is there in deep thought. I don't remember actually. Okay, so this is also very trivial problem. Just read once. It is very trivial. So maybe if you have read it, so maybe we will not run this code. We will tell you what the logic is because this is very simple. What this problem wants you to do is it wants you to take input from the user. And if the input is either 42, 42 in numeric 42 or in alphabets 40 hyphen 2 or 40 space 2. If these three, if the user input is either of these three, then you have to output yes, otherwise the output is no. So very simple conditionals. We'll use if, elif, else condition. So we'll say if the input is 42 or so, or you can also use or. So in if else statement, you can say if it is 42 or this 42 or this 42, print yes, else print no. So you can do that also. I guess it is simple. Take an input and check if it is this or this or this, print yes or print no. All right, very simple problem. So, okay, math interpreter, we can go. So let us see what this is. Yes, I remember. Now we have talked about calculators. So in assignment 1, we were saying that I gave you one problem to make a calculator. Now this is also a calculator, but it is not using function calls. What it is doing is it is saying that the user, okay, first read it, then I'll tell you what it is doing. All right. So what it wants us to do is it wants us to take a input from the user in the format this. Where is the format? Is the format? Okay, this is the format. So it will be something like that. 1 plus 1. So it can be any number, an operator, and then any number. And this operator can be either plus, minus, multiply, or division. All right. So these four operations will be there, and this will be the format. Some number, space, an operator, space, and then a number. So what are you doing? You are trying to interpret the user's input and then give the output. So you are creating an interpreter. Now, this last line, it says that Python is actually an interpreter. All right. And then you are creating one more interpreter using Python. So we will talk about interpreter when we go to executions, but actually Python is an interpreter. All right. So this is, you have to take an input. So let us do that. We will do this code. All right. So what is the name of the problem? Math interpreter. And if you want to do it by yourself, you can do it. All right. So I'll take an input expression. I'll see input some expression. So I'll say expression. Now this expression will be a string. All right. And we know the format. And we also know that there will be spaces between the three values, plus or numbers. There will be spaces. So we'll split it. So we know x, y, z. If we do that, then we can say expression dot split. We have used this function called split. Split. Now split actually splits a string in a space, and if you give some parameter inside split, it will split that string inside using that add that character. All right. Now we have xyz. You can see what is xyz. To print x comma y comma z, and when you do this and I say 1 plus 1, sorry, space will be there. Yes, 1 space plus space 1, and when you do this you get, so we are getting the same thing, but actually it is 1 is stored in x, y is stored in plus, y has stored as plus, and z is actually 1. All right. I should not have written it like this. We had written it print x, print y, print z. Then it would have been more clear. Now it is very simple. We can say if y equals to plus, then do something. So you can do. So let me write it in the same code. All right. So print and it is saying round it to 1 decimal place. You should, somewhere I had read. So round it to 1 decimal place. All right, because there is some division also. So you can do two things. Either you can call a function called round, or you can use it like this. This way. This one. Dot 1f. So you can do both ways. I am using a function called round because two different things will be there. Now you have to make sure this x is actually a string right now. It is not a number. So you have to convert it to a number. So you can say float x plus float y. All right. And this round takes one more argument. It will say this round it to 1 decimal place. That's why I given 1. All right. And if you do other things also, elif, I'll not write everything, but elif and else. All right. When you do that, then it will create this math interpreter. And you can give the outputs, the test outputs. So these are the test outputs: 1 plus 1, 2 minus 3, 2 into 3, and 50 division 5. All right. If you do that, then it will work. Dot dot dot. I'm not writing the code, but it is simple. If you have doubt, you can stop me. I'll proceed with that code then. Right. This meal time is also very simple, so I'm not going there. You can, in the when you have time, you can go and check is it simple or not. But I know this is simple, so I'm not going there. So let us go to loops and see. Okay. First is camel case. So this is an interesting problem. It says that, so in Python, actually we use, so it is recommended to use snake case. So these strings, when we have written in Python, so when we write function name or any name, any attribute, it is advisable to write it in this way. So the first name space the second name. So when I say anything product, so it is a single digit number. So when you have two names in an attribute, it should be given a underscore to divide that name. So camel case is actually, we don't give a underscore, we make the first letter of the second name as capital. So if you have first name, it will be first in small letters, then N will be in caps lock. All right. Now, if you read this program, which I'll give you 2 minutes to read, all it says is take camel case and convert it into snake case. This is what the program wants you to do. Go ahead, read it. So any idea how do you want to do this?
We can iterate one by one character and find which is the uppercase and split the string there and add a
Yes,
underscore.
yes, 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 yes. That is what we can do. That is what we will do actually. Right. I hope you have read the problem, but that is what we want to do. All right. So I am just returning to the um, code, and I'll say camel case, and we will take an input. So text is equals to input, and we'll say anything text, and then we'll give a space. Now there's a function called strip, which we have not talked about. What it does is it removes spaces from the starting and the end of a string. If you do that, it is better because unnecessary spaces in, at the start and the end of the string is not desirable. If you use this function, all the spaces will be removed. Now, because we want to iterate, what we will do is we'll concatenate each character to a new string. So we'll say new str is equals to empty, and then we'll iterate. So for I in range len text. All right, we'll iterate, or we can not do that. We'll just say text. We can also do that for I in text, and we say if I dot is lower, then we'll just add. So new str is equals to new str. So this is concatenation. All right, this is not arithmetic operator, and we'll say I else, not else, because there can be other things also. So I'll say if I dot is upper, then we'll say new str is equals to new str plus a case underscore plus this new string I. But we have to convert it to lowercase. Why lowercase? You see, when you get to this capital C, it will be uppercase, but we don't want to add it as uppercase, so we'll say I dot lower. I hope you have understood why we have done I dot lower. And then we'll print new. If you have not understood, please stop me and ask. All right.
Is it
When you
is it
execute,
is it fine to do elif on the second?
yes, it is same. It is same. So I'm not using elif. I was using two ifs. You can do that elif also. Doesn't matter. Now, if you say camel case, I hope you should get an result. Did I do wrong? New string is not defined.
That underscore is
Can anyone?
missing.
Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is working. Any doubt? All right, so this was also not difficult. Just you had to know that there is a function called is lower and is upper. This was important, and the idea that we can iterate over a string was also important. All right. Now we'll go to Coke machine. To take 2 minutes to read. All right, I hope you have read it. The logic is a little bit tricky to understand, but what it is trying to tell you is Coke costs 50 cents and you have three denominations, 25 cents, 10 cents, and 5 cents. The user will input a value of these three only, 25, 10, and 5. If it enters some other value, just ignore it. So we'll see what we'll do with other values. So there will be a if statement. If it 25, 10, or 5. Now when it enters either of the three, we will just subtract that value from 50. So you see the demo over here. I'll just start over. So it is 50, it is entering 25, 25 is remaining, and again 25, so 0 is remaining. All right, so whenever it hits 0 or it goes below 0, then another prompt is there which says that change owed this much. So suppose it is entering 25, 10, and 25. So the total will be 60. So 10 will be owed by the machine. So it is saying change owed 10. All right. If you go below and you see, so see this example. It is saying first enter 25, then enter 10. So when you enter 25, it will say amount remaining 25 because 50 minus 25 is 25. Then it enters 10, so it will say amount remaining is 15. And then when you enter 25, then it will say change due or whatever it is, uh, change owed as 15 or not 15, side 10. All right. Yes, change owed as 10. So some calculations inside the if block. I hope you are getting it. Let us do this. Oh. So first what we'll do, we'll take a, so you see the user can input any value, any number of time. So we cannot use a for loop. So for this, a while loop is good. All right. Why it is good? Because you don't know what the user will input. It can input 45 n number of times, but 45 is not an input. So we will use a while loop. All right. So we'll say while true. Now I'm saying true. You should be very cautious that there is a condition break statement to come out of that loop. And before this while loop, I'll say cost is equals to 50 because that bottle costs 50. All right. And I'm saying while true. I'm again saying this. So you should have a statement that break is encountered at least once in some point or the other. Otherwise, it will be an infinite loop. Okay. So first it says print amount due as 50. First we'll say. So it doesn't matter to follow exactly. So I'll just say print due is 50. I'll just say whatever the due is. So initially due is cost, which is 50. So let me change it to due. So I'm saying initially the due is 50. So print whatever the due is. So in the first iteration, it will print 50. All right. Now I want to take an input from the user amount. So what the amount the user wants to give. So I'll say input and I'll say insert a coin or something, coin, and the user will give me an input. Now this input is a string, so I have to convert into integer. So I'll say int. Right. So I have an amount and I have to check if this amount is either 50, 25 or 10. All right, 25, 10 or 5. Otherwise, 50 is also there. No, 25, 10 and so if amount equal to 25 or amount equal to 10 or amount equal to 5. In this case only, we have to reduce the due. So due is equals to due minus amount. All right. So at each iteration, this amount will be subtracted from the due. In case the due is negative, then what we have to do is we have to print change due, and and here we will print the negative of that value. So I'll say negative due, right? Or this will not work. It will say due times minus 1. This will work. And over here, whenever the due is negative, I have to break. I'll break from the loop. So this is the whole program. So what it is doing, you see, initially the due is 50. It is printing the due amount and then taking an input. And it is only doing something whenever the amount entered is 25, 10 or 5. Otherwise, it is not doing anything. So there is no else statement. It's subtracting the amount from the due and then checking if the due is negative or not. If it is negative, then it is printing and then breaking out of the loop. So I'll just run this code once. My God. Okay. So first it is saying the due is 25. So I'll say 45 I'm giving. It is saying again 25, 50 because I don't have a 45 cents coin. So I'll say 25. Now it is giving me 25 is the due. So I'll say 10. So 15 is due and I'll say 25. So change due is 10. So this is what it wanted. All right. These are just logic. If you get the logic, then coding is not very difficult. Few things is important is how are you implementing the loop? What loop are you using? When are you breaking? These are also important. Is it getting boring?
No, sir.
All right. Anything? All right.
I have one question, sir. So this while true
Yes,
is checking which condition is true.
it is always true. So while we check the condition which is true, so it will over and over go inside the loop. So this condition will never be false. This condition will never be false.
Okay.
So it is in a way infinite loop, but I will only break when something happens inside that loop.
Okay.
This you cannot do in for loop.
Okay, sir.
All right. So what should I do next? Let me see what this vanity plate is. Plates. Okay, this is a good problem. So I want you to read this properly. This is a very good problem. So I hope you have read it. So this is actually just checking some conditions. So this is just conditionals. All right. You have to check if the input from the user is matching all the requirements or not. But why I'm saying this is an interesting problem, because the requirements are little tricky to understand. If you're not understanding what the requirements are, it will be difficult for you to get the conditional statements. All right. So instead of me just trying to explain you what the solution is, I want you to tell me what the conditionals should be. So for each um, this point, there is a conditional, and you have to have a correct conditional, otherwise you will not get the answer. Okay.
You can count with the string length and see if it is having at least 4 characters and
So
not
not
more
four,
than 6 characters.
not four. It is saying minimum of 2 characters.
I mean, two letters and 2 numbers.
No, it is saying must start with at least 2 characters. So it should start with at least 2 letters. So it should be alphabet in the first 2 letters and minimum of 2 characters. So it can just be of 2 characters. So CS
Okay,
is
okay.
also a valid vanity
Mm-hmm.
code. Right.
It can
So
be in
I'll
the
just
range
copy
of
this.
2 to 6.
Yes, yes. So I'll just copy this code. What this code is doing is it has a main function and a function which is valid. And by the way, we have not talked about main function, but we will talk about main function when we go to class, and there are few subtle things to talk about in main. But for the time being, just think that there is some function called main, and there is another function which we have to make, which checks if it is valid or not. So when we are calling this main, it is taking an input from the user and passing that value to is valid. And if this function gives true, then it prints valid. If this function gives false, then it prints invalid. So we have to make this is valid function and return true if it is valid and false if it is invalid. All right. I'll just copy this and print it over here. And the name is Vanity Plates. Let's see. Hash. All right. So this is the function and we have to do this. All right. So first it was if length of this string is greater than 2, sorry, greater than, okay, so we are checking if it is greater than 2. Now you can do either way. So if you are saying that greater than 2 and less than 6, then you have to return true. So you can do either two things. All right. So let me do it in that way only. Greater than 2 and len is less than 6. In that case, equal to equal to. So it will be equal to equal to. And it will say return true. All right. So this is the first condition. Second condition, it is saying that it must start with at least 2 letters. So there should be the first 2 elements of that string must be letters. So there is a function which actually check if it is and if it checks if it is string or not. Sorry, not string, alphabet or not. So what we will do is we'll take S and we'll check if the first 2 letters. So everything till 1. So 0 and 1. All right. So when I'm saying S, this box bracket colon 2, it means 0th character and 1 character dot is ALPHA alpha. So this checks if it is okay. I have to see if this um, bracket should be there or not. Just a minute. This ALP. I guess parenthesis is there. Yes, it is there. Yes. Yes, so it is okay. Now we'll say if this is alphanumeric, return true. All right. Now the third thing which we have to do is we have to make sure that there is no other thing other than uh, numbers and alphabets. So there is one more function called is al num. So when you check this function is al num Python, then it is actually checking if it is alphanumeric or not. Right. It is checking characters are alphabets and numbers. Both it is checking. Right. So I'll say elif. 1 minute. So I shouldn't give elif. I should say this and this. This and this and whatever I'm saying. Why elif shouldn't be there? Any comments? Why elif will not work and will work?
Sir, all conditions should be checked there.
Yes, and so we have to see if s dot is ALNUM. Okay, so either all, so this should be true and this should be true and this should be true and this should be true. And one more condition is that, so what is the condition? This condition. If all these conditions are true, then only return true. All right, otherwise we have to return false. So since this thing will become very large, we will do the other way. So we'll see if length is less than 2 and length is greater than 6, will return false. So it will be better for us. Okay, let's see false. Now this should be or. So in or we can get elif. So when I say elif this, then we can say return false. And this also. Then we can say elif this and return false. So are you getting why I have changed that from this? Are you getting why have I changed from return true to return false? What problem we could have faced?
So it was very lengthy expression, so you have to break down.
Yes, lengthy expression. Moreover, to check this thing, it will not be very simple to put it into one line because this condition should also meet. And this is not a very simple condition. What you have to check is you have to see if the ending characters of this input should be a number and a number shouldn't be in between. So giving one expression, very simple expression in if would be difficult to do. That is why we are not returning true. We are trying to return false and else we will return true. All right, we will do that thing. Now, this condition is little bit tricky to check. You read and if you have anything in mind, tell me, otherwise I'll tell you how to do it. You see, one property of this number is whenever a digit starts, there will be no alphabet afterwards. Right? Whenever we encountered a digit, we will not encounter an alphabet after that. So we'll use that idea. All right, I'll repeat. Whenever we encounter a number in this string, no alphabet will be encountered after that. So we'll use that idea. All right, so we'll iterate and we'll check at the first time we're encountering a number. So I'll iterate over the list, not list, string. I'll iterate over this string s, and we will check if s, not s dot is digit. So this is also a function. It checks if it is a digit or not. If this is a digit, then what we will do, we will check. What will we check? We will check some things. What we will check? Okay, so let me break and then we will check. Let me break. So what are we doing? First, we have encountered a digit and we know the position of that digit. For that, let me do range len s. So why are we doing it? You see, I want to get the position of the digit when we are encountering first digit. So I want to get the position of the first number in the string. Is it clear? If not, I'll repeat. Why are we doing this? For I in range len s. Is it because I am iterating over that string and I want to get the index of the first number we are encountering in that string? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Are you? Yes, thank you, thank you. Anyone else, if you are facing any trouble? All right, so this for loop will give me the uh, uh, first encounter of that digit. Now we'll check if this thing is whatever it is saying. So first of all, this number cannot be zero. The first number cannot be zero. So we can check if s of I. So we have to return true. So I will return true here, equal to, not equal to. So I'll say not equal to zero. It shouldn't be zero. Now, since it is a string, I have to give in inverted commas. And now you see some other things are there. If it is a digit, then all other characters in the string should be digit. So I'll say s colon I colon everything, not this colon, this colon. So after I take everything and check if it is digit or not. After I take everything and check if it is a digit or not. All right, so this should be the case. And what is the last condition? The last condition is, you see, it may happen that there is no number at all. So that example which we were giving, that only two alphabets are there, CS, nothing else. In that case, this will give an error. In that case, it will give an false actually. So in that case, we have to see, in case this I is equal to length of s minus 1. What does it mean? That we are actually not encountering any digit. So if we'll not encounter any digit, this for loop will run successfully and I will be the length of that string. So if suppose that length of the string is 4, then I value will be 4. In that case, this will be false. All right, but that is a valid combination. So suppose CS, we are saying 2-digit CS and no number is there. That is a valid combination. For that, this will be false. In that case, this will become true and we'll say return true. Is it clear? It became complicated, but is it clear? Now this is complete. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Any doubt? Ashok, Ranjit, Kalyavani ma'am?
Yes, sir.
So first of all, we are checking if that digit is 0 or not. And if it is 0, then if it is not 0, then the number after that should be a number. So this two will work. Or if we don't encounter any number, then the length of the string should be equal to actually I. In that case, we'll return true and then this will work. All right. So we'll check for this case only CS if it is giving valid or not. I hope this is valid. It is giving invalid. So where did I make wrong? So what did I do wrong? It is giving invalid over here. Okay, not over here. So which condition is not giving? Which condition is giving false? So help me correct the error. All right. That can be checked using print. Print first.
And this,
Sorry.
the length condition is greater than 2, maybe greater than or equal to 2.
So I'm returning false actually. So it is less than 2, then it should be false. So it is not less than
Okay.
2, it is actually 2.
Okay.
I'll just check using this print statement. It will help me see where did it go wrong. Third, and this doesn't matter. Okay, CS. So second, this condition is not met. Okay, so actually is alpha. I have to see what is this AL numeric. Okay, so we can check this using some examples. So we will.
The condition is all num. Uh,
Okay,
AL.
is all num. Oh, this one, no. Okay, is alpha is getting error. Is alpha? Is it getting error is alpha? Method returns true if all characters are alphabet. Yeah, it is alphabet. S is equals to CS and S dot is AL.
Maybe S dot 2 is 0, 1, 2, maybe counting 3 characters.
Sorry?
This S colon 2 is alpha. Maybe it is counting 0, 1.
Yeah, 0, 1.
Okay.
Just I'll show you. I'll show you. So this is returning true over here. So when this is true, so not okay, it shouldn't be not should be here. This should also be not, I guess. This should also be not. Okay. So when I'm saying this is alpha numeric, if it is alpha numeric, then it is true, return true, but it shouldn't be alpha numeric. Then I have to say not. Did you get the where I did wrong? You see, the condition says if the first two characters are alphanumeric or alphabet, then it is a valid combination. You go back, it is saying all vanity plates must start with at least two characters. So if it is alphabet, so if this is true, then it is a valid combination. I want to check not condition, not this. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir. Let's try giving the.
Now it will work. I guess it will work. CS. It is valid, right? What error did I make? That is important to understand. You see, this condition should be true for a valid combination. So when this is true, I am returning false. That is why I'm giving not this condition. I'm repeating again. If this condition is true, then it is a valid combination. I should return true, but I want to return false. In that case, I'm giving not this condition. Similarly, for this, I'm saying whenever this condition is true, it should return true, but I am returning false. That is why I'm saying not this condition. Is it all right? I'll say CS50 and then we'll see it is a valid combination. Did you understand what error I make? It was a logical error. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so the time is up. So you should actually go to these exceptions, and the problems in this part is very, very good. So these problems are very good. Problem set 3, and I wanted to do these problems only, but we don't have time right now. These 4 problems I want you to do, and maybe submit if you want to, or you can check it out. You can submit, doesn't matter. You can submit, all right? But I'll give you an assignment too very soon, all right? But please try these 4 problems. These are very good problems, all right? So this is it for today's class. I hope this was helpful. And in the next class, we'll talk about classes. But I don't think I'll be able to take class till Diwali. All right, so I'll mail this. I will, the next class may be on 18th. Right, so I will mail whatever changes I have. And if I'm giving this much gap, so if the next class is on 18th, I will mail regarding the project also. So you have a project for this course. So in this time being, whatever that is 2 weeks, I guess, you will get the time to do the project. So think for the project also. All right. And whenever I get time, I'll make assignment too, such that I can give you. I'm a little bit busy till Diwali.
Project title we have to choose, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Project title we have to choose. You can choose. Or you will give
Yes,
list of
I will mail you the detail of the project by tomorrow. Everything I'll mail. What you want to do, how you will do, everything I'll mail by tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And I'll give appropriate time. So maybe 3 to 4 weeks I'll give for submission.
Okay. Sir, assignment 1 marks. You see.
Yes, I have not checked assignment 1 because I am also busy in my thesis work, and currently I am actually somewhere else working in some other thing. That's why I'm not able to take classes in this
Okay,
week.
sir.
It is
Okay,
not
okay, sir.
because of Diwali I'm able to take class. I'm busy in something else.
Okay. I can understand.
And I have
No issues.
checked, so I have gone through the solutions of assignment 1 provided by many of you, and I think that I should actually discuss the solutions of assignment 1, because I saw the solutions which were given in assignment 1, but those are correct solutions. Those are not wrong solutions, but I think more appropriate or more efficient code could have been written for those problems. So I will take some time and discuss the solutions of that problem. And there is not one solution. There can be many solutions. I'll give my solution.
Okay, sir.
All right. So I just take the attendance quickly. Lavani ma'am is here. And Ashok Vardhan is here today. Hello, Ashok, are you here? Not here, I guess. Yeah. Ram Prakash is here. And Ranjit is here. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And I guess I'll not be able to take class. So next class will be on 18th. I'll mail you the detail by tomorrow afternoon, or not afternoon, night. Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you so much.